Team Vitality is the best team in Europe, and they're facing off against Complexity, NA's last hope, and they're not even NA players. But this was a Spring Major quarterfinal game, and it was a banger, part of our daily analyses we're doing all throughout the Major. So if you guys like replay analyses from a professional paid analyst full-time and all that jazz, please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So game number one, we're actually going to start watching from Zen's perspective because he scores the first goal. I think the beginning of this game kind of started exactly how most people thought it would. Vitality coming into Spring Major as the favorites are a huge thing. They're definitely going to be the most critiqued and most watched. And I think this first type of goal kind of shows why. Just the sheer threat of players like Al54 generating that 50. And so when we see that goal go in, Al54 takes it up, Radosin is right ahead of him, and Zen's chilling in the middle. Alpha doesn't even need to get that contact to get AJG up, because yes, it's good to send someone forward. Problem is, Razebull is also playing off of this, and you can almost see them so confident this ball is going to get ricocheted to the side or bounce off the corner. You see Razebull almost slow down in the corner instead of getting back. Bounce is just terrible, it goes in the middle. Zen gets a goal. So taking smart 50s, which a lot of high level play is nowadays. You just have to take smart 50s. You don't want to risk too many awkward plays. And for Al54, he's coming up the wall. He doesn't need to get a perfect air dribble. He just needs to be able to beat that individual defender and hope for the next best thing. But to be honest, ever since that first goal goes in, a lot of this game one just kind of goes more in Vitality's way. They're getting a decent amount of shots off. Complexity seems to be not necessarily backed into their corner, but they're not comfortably getting forward. And you see it's like plays like this. They're very nervy, Xing out of their corners and particularly trying to move the ball concretely up. This is one of the first real good plays out of Complexity, if my memory serves. Yeah, CRR takes a 50, immediately shoved downfield into Razebull. Absolutely insane fake, and Zen with the pre-flip save gets the perfect angle. That very much was the chance for Complexity to say, no, we're right back in it, but Vitality shuts the door. It takes quite a lot to put a goal past Vitality, which I suppose is some ominous wording compared to the rest of the series. Yeah, ball continuing to be basically just stuck all the way in the Complexity half of Vitality for the first good chunk of this game one are kind of just patrolling their half. I think when you're in that mentality, you're kind of playing more for survival drive rather than anything else. You're not really able to focus too hard on, okay, let's get this counter, let's get this individual beat, because it's stuff like that. You get the first clear, which you have to stretch for, and then it's thrown right back in. Oh, you gotta throw it to the sidewall, then it's thrown right back in. It's just constantly getting you drilled on your back line. And this is the Vitality thing everyone was kind of waiting for, and why they're such a scary team, because they know exactly how much to press in on attack, but also exactly how much to back out to give the illusion of space for players. And this is the most dangerous positions where Vitality starts to get in. They start getting these close angle doubles, and they start trying to patrol those sidewalls, and then this is really the blender that they throw you into. They get a ball on one side, they chase you to the other, they have another player come in, again keep it in the middle, and then this recovery from Radosin is brilliant. And that's again just the fact of when you're trapped on your half for long enough, you can defend a lot. You can probably even steal away a couple corners, but if you're not inevitably clearing the ball at least a little bit to reset rotation, eventually something's gonna crack. Again, Complexity finding those good passes into Razebull, but being cut out, and then the immediate counter comes right in. Yeah, game one, very much so Vitality playing exactly like Vitality wants to. Very aggressive, stealing boosts, trying to get air dribbles, but then the moment where they know that it just has to be kind of a desperate throw forward, they back off. Forbidden Temple game two is a bit better, obviously, because Complexity actually regains and plays well right off the bat. And we do actually take a look back at this. See CRR get that hit, and Radosin, the problem is with cheating up that aggressively is that you're waiting for that exact type of bounce, but you're waiting for it to move a little bit. And I think Radosin realized halfway through, I don't actually know where that's going. It's Cam. Right when Alpha starts to move over it, then you flick. And the follow-up coming in, I believe this is CRR. CRR and AJG have very similar cars. I might be mixing them up throughout the series, so forgive me on that. I will try to memorize what decals they have, but I'm fairly certain they're both using dark purple Fenai, as you call it. The individual skill from Complexity is great, but their ability to find their combination plays with setting up an interval and then into a pass is really what I think makes them super dangerous. So now that they have a little bit of confidence, you can see them starting to run with it. Vitality is not really sure how to handle it. Don't always have to hit it as hard as possible. Those CRRs posted up for it. I'm just going to feed it to you. You catch it and then carry it from there. Now he's all the way up in the corner. Nice pass in AJG. Radosin really has to reach, and that's what happens. You find a player forward, and then immediately send it right back in, because the best part about these plays, especially using the backboard, is my favorite thing, is it forces every single defender to, like Zen, rotate back, Radosin rotate into goal, and then Alpha is coming up across. It forces everyone to basically converge on this area in front of goal. So then naturally, ball goes forward, everyone naturally goes back, and then it's almost like in the moment you realize, oh wait, this could be a dish across, but also we are completely leaving this section open, and eventually leads to stuff like this. That goal was actually the last goal of this game too, but we're just gonna keep watching a little bit just because I think there are some interesting tidbits. Really stretches for him and really panics and tries to get these reads off, or at the very least tries to speed the ball back up. Slowing the ball down is actually one of the more frustrating things you can do. Don't have enough boost, so you can't speed up to that. That pre-flip is fine to be able to get a touch and then probably land on the wall and get a 50, but because they don't get that, immediately, bang, right into the back. This is a classic level of RLCS high-level play where one mistake is really like immediately penalized. In Rocket League, you have to play very predictive to keep up with plays. If you're constantly trying to guess where it is and pre-jumping, kind of like that, you're gonna get toasted. Problem is Zen just happens to barely miss that one. But if that's slightly to the left from Zen's perspective, that is 100% in. That's 2 goals now that have just barely been escaped because Complexity plays fine, but then they leave a gap and they don't close someone down in time, and then they pay the price. DFH for game 3. Complexity is starting to rev up a little bit. This is the game where I feel like everyone started to raise their eyebrows a bit at this matchup, where they're saying, okay, Complexity is, you know, a great chance for us to go far in NA, or an NA team. And Zen staying with that ball really well. Some takes I've been seeing about 50-50s, that some pros are like not really that good at them. This is a majority of the major game now, is plays like this from Zen, just air dribbling it and it's on the ground. And yeah, he could be saving boost, but also he could just be staying in front of it and forcing Razebull into trying to take a 50, which then he loses and the Alpha 54 gets over. Like, it doesn't lead to much, but tiny plays like that make a huge difference. When you're just like throwing your whole car body in front and you just can't handle it, that's what happens. Speaking of not being able to get your car body in. So we're going to take a look at this play from Razebull's perspective. You actually do see CRR take this one over on the corner as Alpha 54 loses this one. But the thing is, CRR is still recovering, so Radosin is challenging over, thinking I can get this one. And then CRR realizes, oh, I have a lot of boost, starts boosting, and you see halfway through Radosin says, oh no, I have to get back here. The thing is that because this play happened much earlier, Zen's rotating back. They're very much almost off screen over here. And then you have Alpha rotating slowly back to the middle. You have Radosin most likely challenging and then turning out because they don't want to commit on a ball they're not going to be able to win. And again, it just creates a huge open space. This is where that moment where things get really panicky for defenses set in, where one play where you start playing reactively, kind of like this, where you're rotating across and CR suddenly has boost where you think he maybe didn't, and you're saying, ooh, I have to get out of this one. That's when you start reacting to a play and you're not really ahead of it. Then this happens. CR in middle, Razebull knows, Radosin is chasing that one, so he lets it go because Radosin's playing the block. He does not have the read. Even if he does, he's not traveling fast enough to be able to hit it away. So Razebull waits for it. Nice little hook shot for Zen. Again, on his goal line, there's nothing you can do about that. Nice pop up. A little bit of a double commit, but ultimately it's because both players saw it. Again, this is playing predictively, where this ball gets ricocheted in the middle. Alpha is backwards. Where is he going to touch this one? There's nowhere this ball can be touched that's actually going to be productive or far forward. So AGG and CR are both basically saying, okay, the moment this gets popped, the moment this gets caught, I am there. It gets popped, both of them go, because both players are in the moment there. This is not a big deal, though, in terms of communication, because obviously it's just kind of split in the midfield. The only issue is that if someone was immediately behind it, could air dribble or something, then it really gets problematic. But fast plays like that, again, are why you have to play predictive. Just make sure that even the cutesy little touches from Vitality aren't going to be able to roll into anywhere dangerous. Nice patrol. And again, that's predictive play. Go off the ceiling, and it makes the defender think twice, especially when you're Zen right here in this situation. The outlet pass is Radosin. That's the easy one, but CR is already up, and you can see Zen almost wait for a second, saying, I can't really hit that. So goes low, Radosin adjusts, and you hit it forward. Problem is, it's slow, and you can't beat out Razebull. It's all about staggered defense. I do like it when Complexity starts to play this super aggro style because it forces them into a position where they're calling the shots, and it's on Vitality to react. That's the theme I keep going back to, because it's the thing that I kept thinking about throughout this series, is who is the one asking the questions, as I say while I cast, and who is the one that is immediately responding. So let's play out of the corner. Redosin hits this to the side. AJG, again, keeps it in control. This is half of what good offensive possession is stuff like this. Slight tap, immediate landing, free flip, because Alpha, if he did go for that, you want him to know you will get dunked if you get this. Ball goes low. Alpha doesn't challenge that. AJG just grabs 50, get a little bump, slows him down, then Raise Bull, big challenges, waits for the touch. Zen doesn't have a good one. Raise Bull dives in, gets an annoying touch, and you're right back into the corner. Steals the boost, and then restart. Alpha has to restart again from the corner. Doesn't have the momentum, barely even has the boost, and they get punished. Effective offense isn't always good passing like this. Like, yes, this play from CRR into Raise Bull, that's going to be a goal 10 times out of 10 if you don't have someone facing forward and able to jump for it. But it all starts from these annoying touches. Look at this touch out of the corner. Outfit Force is trying to generate something, but he knows CRR is already up. So then he tries to slow things down, and then it just does not work out. It's a very good play from Complexity to be able to lock that corner down. So Vitality and Utopia here in game 4, they get an immediate resurgence. They get a goal very quickly into this game, and I think that is huge for the mental, just because, although I'm not going to accuse the side of Vitality of being weak mentally, I think it's very difficult when your scenario is coming in the favorites and you start struggling. The fact that they dropped a game to elevate is one thing, but getting a goal like this is nice to be able to say, okay, we're in the driver's seat. Zen clears it hard forward, it's off the ceiling. AGG knows Redosin's around him, he just kind of slows it down. But I think halfway through this, Raise Bull realizes, oh, I kind of have to get to this one, and then turns, realizes they don't really have a good read on it, and it's just kind of an open tap-ins. If I remember correctly in my notes, this is about, yes, so Raise Bull gets a shot here. This is one of the attacks that I think Complexity does really well as well, is a hit comes in, CRR comes in, and hits it across rotation. What I mean by that is you see the play come from the corner, then back in the middle, and then you have Zen crashing across, you have Alpha coming in, then you have AJG also behind them, rotating into the middle, so everyone is moving this way, which means the least likely touch is going to be one back to the corner, because yeah, CRR could come in and just say, oh look, that net's wide open, let's just grab a shot. But if you play that instead and say, actually, let's tap this to the corner, it produces a lot of open space. But the beauty of this play is not the fact that this generates a shot because it opens up. The thing is then, Alpha knows that he's landing, that's a shot. Redosin's on goal, this has to be a shot. Instead, it's a pass. Bang. And if not for Zen, and I believe the frame of the goal also, that's very much in the net. That is so well done, it's a crime that Vitality just packs the box, and so they can't get scored on. So final 30 seconds, this is where we start to see Vitality get into that more safe zone. Love that touch from Redosin, putting it where only Zen can really get to it. AGG with a good extension. It's the beauty of the sidewall double. You always keep the ball in contention. CRR then comes on in, and that's just clean rotation. Just CRR winning a touch, AGG getting a double. It's really nice because it's a high spike into the ceiling, and then suddenly Zen, all the way back, is in that position where I say you don't want to play reactive. This is where you have to play reactive because you're too far away from the ball, but you're not in no man's land. You're still covering the goal. The issue is that you also have to be aware of anything in the midfield, which is then what Redosin and Alpha have to cover. But then, since they know this, AJG says, hey, look, Raise Bull's in the middle, or at least I know that at the very least, Zen is not going to be covering right in front of the goal. I know Redosin is going to be getting back, so has to kind of dive in and read a ball basically up and over their shoulder, which is one of the most difficult reads you can do, especially when you're at pace, or even worse, when you're not driving that fast. You have to regain that speed. And as we can see, Outfit 4 is maybe not aware or really on AGG's radar, but he knows that he's not going to be immediately there. So infield pass, Raise Bull doesn't even have to get this on target, just beat the first defender, and suddenly it's all panic for CRR. Very good at combining everyone in, and that play only works if everyone is on that exact rotation timing. So we get a nice goal here, and that does yield us an overtime, which I think the series kind of has been begging for. Unfortunately, this is also the most anticlimactic ending to a major game I've ever seen. Right off the kickoff, Redosin Not much to be said. That's why you cheat up, and sometimes you beat people on the cheat ups. This is a 1-goal game, and I will say, out of the Game 5s that I've watched that are 1-goal games, one of the most entertaining Game 5s I've seen in a bit. I really like the set down from CRR, because again, it's just using open space. This is something that Vitality haven't been super good at throughout the series, but it's also because this is technically a counterattack. You have Zen getting out to the far side. You have Alpha challenging, admittedly a little late on this one, but he knows he has 2 back. The issue is that when you dive on this one, not necessarily that you'd be instrumental in stopping this on the counter, but AGG sends this upfield. Razebull knows that this is wide open terrain, and then suddenly you say, oh, that's a super easy tap down, and Razebull is able to shoot that one. Granted, he does not grasp it well. Still, the base idea of that from Complexity is exactly why the game flows the way it does in Game 5. That's what I'll say. Really good continuation from CRR. And this play, straight up, I don't think Razebull realized how much time they had. When you watch this from Razebull's perspective, Zen has no read that's clean. And I think Zen understands that. So they're like, oh, well, Razebull's coming from the middle. You know what? I probably can just not chow this, and it probably goes to the corner of the back wall, and I can read that one. I'm farther back than he is. And then suddenly it doesn't get challenged, and Zen goes, oh, 100% a goal if Razebull takes slightly more time. But I think Razebull, in the moment, is not super aware of that Zen is the last person. Or they know they're the last person, they're just trying to get the shot up as quickly as possible. Complexity, as you notice, starting to send players to chase Vitality, because again, the worst thing you want to do in scenarios like that is let players create. And that's exactly why Alpha almost flicks one through. Fantastic defending. Low boost, that double almost clicked in, that made me freak out. And I will say, one of the plays of the game, even though it doesn't look like it from Alpha, being able to get in the way. Razebull definitely puts that away otherwise. Nice pop up and over. Again, Razebull needs to challenge, and that's what it's about when you're trying to play staggered defense specifically. And what I mean by that is AJG is back and Razebull is covering him. But it's not just that he's farther back, it's that he's waiting for a particular play. Because you watch Razebull's reaction to this. Alpha pops this one, and Razebull immediately locks their tires in on the turn and then jumps and just plays for 50. They don't, as you notice, they're not actually trying to like plow through that play or hit it to the sidewall. They're just trying to get in the way because they know Alpha knows that he can probably get a 50, but definitely not going to be able to get it on target. And that's all you really need to do as defender. Slow it down for your next player to come through and help. Open air dribble, something's terrifying, but of course CR chooses the unselfish play. And again, this is a good rotation in from Zen rather, because Zen knows that he's covering pretty much everything in the back post as well as more or less the goal. But he knows CRR is not going fast enough to really bang this one on target, so most logical play is either hit forward or directly down to Razebull, because he knows the play is going to happen in front of him. There's not really much panic while going up and over. And even if it does, all of Complexity is on his screen, so he knows Radosin has him covered. So the moment it goes down, notice how the jump is already in play, because he knows exactly where that ball is going to go. He tilts his nose down, make sure he gets a beefy touch on that one. And even because of this, he's Zen, he gets another double, and they're able to get it clear. That is the moment I almost crapped a brick, because I believe on broadcast, AJG's perspective was the one they showed, and 100% I'm thinking, oh, that's Alpha, that's a great redirect. AJG then jumps, and then credit to him, he does not feels flip, he does not freak out, he just lets the ball drift into him and lets his teammates clear it. Yeah, I would say that I felt like Vitality was eventually going to take, because build-ups like this, even though it's not an air dribble, I believe Radosin passes this inside. Yeah, the idea is good, but I always kind of got scared when Complexity started throwing the ball forward, because I'm thinking that could be an open air dribble for Vitality. I don't really want to see them create this, but they close gap well. For the most part, ball's way too far, so it creates into here. Now here's where the true pain comes in. Slow passing against CRR and Razebull, 1-2, 1-2. Touch forward, CRR goes for a bump, doesn't get it, makes contact with Alpha though. Zen hits it in the middle, AJG off the post, and that's how it ends. Everything in that play went well, except for one tiny thing, and then immediately the counter is punished. It is 100% in your net. But 100%, this is the type of play that happens only on LAN in my experience, because you know the cameras are on you specifically, you know there's a lot of pressure, and this moment right here is not a hard angle. It's not one that requires a lot of stretching around. In fact, when you watch this one in slow motion, he very much has the exact read he needs. All he needs is diagonal front flip, but instead, I believe what he does is diagonal back flip, because he wants to be able to get around it, and realizes in this moment, I think right before he touches it, that he realizes, oh, that's open. Like, it's wide open. I don't need to just hit it near goal. It needs to be like on target. Or maybe he thought, I need to slow it down, because if I miss this, it's going to be a counter, because both raisable and CR are on goal. But unfortunately, the panic sets in, gets the wrong touch, and then just a rough counter. In my mind, I think this is a complexity victory. I think Vitality should not be hyper concerned with their chances to win the major, because they're obviously still playing spectacularly, but I think a lot of times complexity laid bare how often Vitality really lets go of possession and lets go of these touches in the midfield and kind of lets you create in space, and I think complexity played that really well. What I mean is, like, the way that we view this is more complexity threw this one away, Vitality just so hard to beat, but in reality this was a very losable series from Vitality. I think that's a very important thing to take away from this, and I can't wait to see what really happens tomorrow, because of course I'm recording these live. These are just part of daily VOD reviews / analysis, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll be seeing you guys hopefully tomorrow for another analysis for the RLCS Spring Major. Peace! Say goodbye, Kitty.